I got my murdering gloves on. Watch out, we're coming at you hot and fresh for season 3, baby. And that this was the perfect opportunity to stay true to our artistic vision and make this the final chapter in Tommy's journey in Chicago. But don't worry, Tommy's journey is far from over with.
So, a new year means new power, more power content, but more importantly, this is the year we find out what comes next in the Power universe, especially after Power Book 4 Force comes to its conclusion. And just before I go ahead, a happy new year to you all. I hope you guys had some good downtime, enjoyed time with your family during the holiday period, and you're ready to smash whatever goals you've set for the new year, whatever they may be. But now that we're in 2025, what's the next phase for the Power universe as we head into a somewhat different year for Power? We all know Power Origins is on its way, but with no more Power Book 2 Ghost and Tommy's chapter in Chicago coming to an end, what's next? It's been a pretty quiet few months after the end of Power Book 2 Ghost, but at some point of this year I do expect them to give us a lot of news, and when Power do drop their news, such as what happened last year, everything was coming in like bang bang bang, one after the other, and at some point in 2025, I do think we'll get something very similar in terms of Raising Kanan news, Power Origins, what comes after Power Book 4 Force, will Tariq be heading to Chicago, and will that be the catalyst that kicks off the next phase of the Power universe? Could they also have some surprises up their sleeve? So, as we kickstart this year, this breakdown is just going to be a general overview and an update on where we are in the Power universe, where we know we're heading based on actual confirmed information, and then some predictions and theories in terms of what's the next phase for the Power universe. Now, what do we know is coming for certain? Raising Kanan Season 4 is definitely on its way. They've already released a teaser which was during Book 2 Ghost, which in my opinion was quite early considering they haven't even dropped the trailer yet or even given us an official release date. However, I do think that will come in the next month or so. So, up next, very soon, we've got Raising Kanan Season 4 either in February or March. Later on, there's also going to be Force Season 3, which I will come back around to in a bit more detail in just a moment. Now, they've also recently finished filming Season 5 of Raising Kanan. They did finish just before the new year. I think it was just before Christmas when I was seeing all the posts on social media. I was enjoying a bit of downtime as I normally do during the Power Off season, so I thought I'd wait until the new year to kind of do an overall wrap up and an update in terms of the entire Power universe. But they did finish up filming Season 5 just before Christmas. And I guess the first question we'll all have is, when is Season 4 of course, but also, when will we get Season 5? I think this year for Power is very different because we've only got 2 shows left in this universe. There's Raising Kanan and then there's Force. We know Season 4 is definitely on its way, and you'd have to assume at some point Force Season 3 will also air later on this year as well. But when will we see Raising Kanan Season 5? I think with only 2 shows left at this moment in time in the Power universe, I do think Starz may want to kind of space out Power a little more, just to give more time to set up the next phase of the Power universe. Give more time to the writers in the writer's room, iron out any details with whatever else they kind of do in the background, which is probably why we haven't got Raising Kanan just yet. They probably do want to space out the shows considering there's only Raising Kanan Season 4 and Force Season 3 ready to go at this moment in time. They've also got shows such as P-Valley returning, and there's also Season 4 of BMF. However, even though Starz are always doing things a little different, one thing that always remains consistent is they rarely ever have any of their shows crossing over. There was a period of time where during the finale of one show, the next one pretty much started on the same night. We saw that during Force Season 1 and I think BMF Season 2, but they haven't really got back to that kind of pattern. It's now more one show finishes, a few weeks gap, and then the next one starts, which I really do prefer. I think once we get a season finale of one show, I do like having a week or so to kind of just let it digest, run through all the plots, character arcs, and storylines just before moving on to the next one, kind of like wrapping up the season. Whereas when Force Season 1 kicked off, we really couldn't digest everything that happened at the back end of Season 2 of Ghost. So, I really like the change that they've kind of put in place where there's a few weeks between the shows, and that's something I don't expect to change going forward. So, at some point they've also got shows such as P-Valley and BMF returning. Now correct me if I'm wrong, there is also a small teaser that has been going around on social media, which does kind of suggest BMF might be coming after Raising Kanan. It's not confirmed, but normally when you see signs on social media in terms of teasers, it normally does mean one thing. So, after Raising Kanan, I would not be surprised one bit to see BMF, P-Valley, and then Force Season 3, with Raising Kanan Season 5 then coming kind of early next year. Whether Season 5 is the last and final season, at this moment in time, nothing is confirmed. I'm sure after this holiday period, they're going to get back to work on post-production, and then maybe we'll get an announcement closer to when they're actually ready to air season 5. In regards to whether it is actually the last and final season, in my opinion, I think it will be. The reason why I'm kind of leaning towards it being the final season is, I'm sure Sasha Penn and the writers of Raising Kanan will want to craft the perfect storyline and the perfect end to the Thomas family before they move on to Power Origins. And I do think for shows such as The Wire, Raising Kanan, we saw it with Breaking Bad, I think they also originally planned to end Power also at 5 seasons. 5 seasons generally is the sweet spot, because if you kind of drag out shows any longer, sure, the viewers and the hardcore fans will definitely remain, but just like The Walking Dead, I do think shows can lose its way and lose its appeal. And with Raising Kanan, we do know we have Power Origins to come, which will probably be the natural continuation of Raising Kanan anyway. You close off the story of the Thomases, maybe have a few characters cross over, but the main focus then shifts over to a young Ghost, a young Tommy Egan, and also Kanan, who I do expect fully to cross over. So, in my opinion, I do think season 5 will still be the last and final season. I think towards the end we may see kind of just an Easter egg of Tommy, Ghost, and maybe Breeze, and that's what will get everybody hyped up for Power Origins. And by then, I think they'll definitely be in more of an advanced position with Origins in terms of writing the story, and who knows, maybe the casting news. So that's where we are in regards to Raising Kanan and just some general thoughts on when we'll see season 5 and also Power Origins. So what about after Force season 3? As I mentioned before, I do think we will see Force at some point this year, maybe at the back end of the year depending on the order of the shows. But with Force, again, it's a little different.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Joseph Sikora, aka Tommy Egan from Power, Book 4, Force. When Gary Lennon and the other writers and I were mapping out our 3rd season, we saw that we were telling a complete story and that this was the perfect opportunity to stay true to our artistic vision and make this the final chapter in Tommy's journey in Chicago. But don't worry, Tommy's journey is far from over with. We're just getting warmed up and I can't wait to show you what we have planned next.
Now, not only do we have to consider what Joseph Sikora teased last year, but there was also this from Tariq at the end of Power Book 2 Ghost Season 4.
Send me the details and I'll be there. I'm on my way.
So we do know Tommy's chapter is coming to a close in Chicago, but his journey as a character is far from over. By that, I think he means he's done in Chicago, and it's time to move to a new city with new players, maybe some old players as well. I do think we'll see a few come over with Tommy, such as Tariq, and maybe a few others. Who knows, maybe D-Mac. I personally would love to see 2-Bit back. If they need someone who has a way with law, who better than Davis McLean, who did get his law license back at the end of Power Book 2 Ghost? You always need a Joe Proctor or a Davis McLean in your corner. But it is going to be time for Tommy to move on and possibly rebuild. I still do think Tariq will also cross over to Chicago as well. I still think Tommy was on the other end of this phone, which I have gone through in detail in a couple of these Force breakdowns, which you will find on my channel. But coming back around to the theme of this particular breakdown, what does it mean for the Power universe going forward? Now, this is where I do think we're going to have to be very patient. I don't think we're going to find out anything until at least Force Season 3 comes to an end. They're going to want to keep whatever they have planned towards the end of that season as a surprise. Once we see Tariq or whatever happens at the end of back end of Force Season 3, I think that will give us all the clues as to where the Power universe is heading in regards to its next current day spin-off. And then that's when I think we'll know or get the announcement. Post Force Season 3 is when I'm expecting them to announce where Tommy's heading, what the next spin-off is, maybe even a brief kind of tease or a synopsis to give us the background in regards to the theme of the next series. But that's when I'm expecting the news in regards to what comes after Force. So for this one, I do think we're going to have to be very patient, but I also think it will be worth the wait, especially with Gary Lennon spearheading the next set of current day Power shows. We've all seen how he's managed to kind of turn around Force in such a short space of time, and I can't wait to see what they've done with Season 3. But with Gary Lennon, an OG powerhead, spearheading the next set of current day shows, I do think they're really in great hands. Now, just coming back to Power Origins, when can we realistically expect Origins to hit our screens? I think this all depends on whether Raising Kanan Season 5 is the last and final season, and how far they've got with the kind of script, the storyline. They're going to have to cast a brand new set of actors, and when they're ready to kind of start filming, I think with Sasha Penn spearheading Power Origins, and with Season 5 now being complete, maybe he can shift his focus over to Origins. I think with them filming season 4 and 5 kind of back to back and getting that out the way before the new year, this is the year where they probably focus on getting the ball rolling for Power Origins. But in regards to a release date, I do think it's anybody's guess at this moment in time. It definitely won't be until probably 2026, maybe even 2027. But when they do start dropping the news later on this year, which I do expect them to do at some point, let's see whether we get some casting news for Power Origins. That's what I'm really kind of looking forward to later on this year, seeing who they've got characters playing such as Curtis St. Patrick. Will we see Uncle Gabe? I assume as we're getting a young Tommy Egan, they'll have to cast a younger version of Kay Egan. So, the casting news, as well as the usual character description, that's something to look forward to later on this year that could potentially drop. Now, here's my wildcard theory, which is something I've mentioned before: Power movies. I don't think this is something we'll see at this moment in time, because they've got Power Origins on the way. I'm sure they're cooking up a new spin-off with Tommy, Tariq, whether it be together or separate, who knows. But when they want to tell a really big story, for example, the end of Tommy Egan, I'd love for them to do this in a Power movie. You know, have a trilogy of movies, or, like I touched on before in my previous breakdowns, tap into some untold storylines before from Power, with characters such as Roller, Julio, Felipe Lobos, Mecha, and so many more. So my wildcard theory for the long term is Power movies. I do eventually think they will explore this kind of angle at some point in the future. But with that being said, just to kind of wrap things up, Raising Kanan Season 4 should be coming soon. I do expect to see a trailer either later this month or next month. There's also P-Valley and BMF, which will be airing at some point, and I personally think that could be before 4 Season 3, before coming back around to Raising Kanan Season 5, and by then, I fully expect Starz to have dropped a lot more news on the next phase of the Power universe, and where we're heading over the next few years for Power. But with that being said, drop all your thoughts down below in the comment section, and we will get back to the storyline character breakdowns over the next few weeks as usual. But as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.